started, well, I heard her ask you what time your day started, and when it ended, it would start like 3:30 in the morning and end about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, you know. And on holidays, I never saw so much food in my life. I mean, my mother's English, and sure, we had the turkey and the dressing and the potatoes and the gravy, you know, and this type of thing. But I mean, of course, they had raviolis, you know. Always had raviolis and ham and turkey, and we just never saw so much food. So it's tradition now. We have, I don't make them, but we have raviolis every holiday, you know. My kids look forward to that because that's what Grandma did, you know. And Grandpa, I can remember when our daughter was little, and we'd sit down at the table, he'd say, give that girl some wine. So they would dilute it, you know, so she'd have a glass of wine. Then she had to have coffee in the morning. If we were over there in the morning, he'd add milk to it, you know. But whatever they did, you know, he said, let that girl have some of that, you know.
Well, give me the other package. I don't know. If you don't. Now, there's the cattle, some pictures of the cattle. Let's see, I think this one here pretty much covers it.
They do have beautiful faces, don't they?
Oh, when they're babies, they're just darling. Never mind, it's pathetic.
You go through that one, and if you have any questions, who they are, but I think they're marked.
Should I
in there.
hold these so
Yeah.
then Andrew can take some?
Honored, you know.
Honored at one of the meetings.
I see, very nice. Very good.
There's pictures in there now. I built that thing there on the left-hand side. There's a hay loader.
Did you design it too, or?
Yeah, it's all built out of scrap.
Uh-huh. And it was a certain kind of?
Loose hay loader.
Uh-huh.
Pick up big shocks of hay.
So you kind of invented it?
Well,
Just
it's
burned out.
more
Well-
than it is.
Where did you learn how to do that?
Well, started at high school in mechanics. And then every piece in there was taken off of something else and put into this thing to make it work.
And did other people who, like,
There were,
who you knew help you, or was it that
Well,
something you
yes,
kind of-
me and a fellow by the name of Guido built the whole thing. The welding and the machine work.
Are there others, or is that the only
Well,
one?
yeah, but none was the same. You see, what we did, I was about one of the last ones that put it together, and I come in with ideas, some of theirs and some was my own. Now, there where the mangers are, that thing there,
Mhm.
that was my idea how to close all the stanchions at one time. And it started out with a piece of baling wire, and then it ended up made out of metal. So you could release one cow or release them all. And generally when you have a cow, you know it's probably sick and you want to milk her and then get her out, and then you want to release only one.
Mhm.
But most of them you had to release the whole works and put the cows back in the stalls again.
Were other farmers making such things too? Were they?
Just this agricultural thing, we're always doing something. You know, our own idea put into practice.
And is it the kind of thing where you swap ideas when you get together, or is it?
Well, ideas, yes, but then again, we all do our own work.
Mhm.
Now, here's a picture of the herd.
And how many were in the herd?
At the end, we had about 190. Starting out with one or, well, three, two cows, two heifers, and a bull.
And they were of the same herd that you,
No, not that we start with, because then you get in the same bloodline, so you change the bulls. Now, one bull here, I don't know whether they got a pig, you can set that down. One out of that cow. That cow used to milk 10 gallons of milk at each milking.
it's a hard-working girl.
Yeah. This was a grand champion at the fairs at Sacramento State and the Cow Palace. She was grand champion, never been defeated. Over there.
Did you have pretty much the same barns throughout, or did you remake your barns?
We started, we didn't have, in 1947, we built a legal barn designed by the University of California. Then we put in some of the ideas, you know, the feeding and in the barn there was our own idea. But the University of California is the one that had according to regulations, we had to build it.
Were there, what were some of the regulations? A certain kind of floor? Was there a material you had to use on the floor?
And
What was
the
that?
floor and the washing, you know, the drainage and all that, and the holding corrals before they come to the barn. And those were some of our ideas and some of theirs. Now, I remember when we were building the cooler, we built that ourselves. We got the design from the university and the instructions how to do it. We did that ourselves. And when the finishing, because I was didn't know anything about plastering, but they were building the highway, and we got some of the Mexicans on Saturdays and Sundays to do the cement work, the finish work. Come the day, and they were not available. So this here, on this one picture, that was my brother-in-law, no, the one that stanchions.
Oh, on the album?
Yeah. See, that was my brother-in-law. And the Mexicans didn't come, so we had to finish the coal box. So I never threw a slug of mortar in my life. So he showed me how to do it. We were working there 10, 11 o'clock at night to finish it. You should see the finish how it come out, you know, just like those Mexicans. But they couldn't come, so we had to do it because they had a knit with the floor. And they didn't show up, so we were fouled up on that, but we stuck with it until we made it.
Did Mexicans do much of the building in the area when it came time to put
No,
houses?
we contracted all the cement work. Of course, we helped pushing the wheelbarrows, you know. They built, then they didn't have the scoop to go from the mixer to put the cement in the farms. And that, the first day, they did it all with the wheelbarrows, and we had to help. No, I want to tell you, that was a job, because they built the ramps, you know, to go up and dump the stuff in, but that was too slow. But then a couple of days after that, they got a scoop, you know, and now they pump the stuff in. So we did everything the hard way.
Influence on the farmers in Dixon? You were saying that they had certain regulations about how the barns were being built. Were there other things like that came across?
Well, you take, I imagine the insurance situation has changed and the labor laws have changed and all that. Because we had there, I can remember when I first got home from school, the workers, you know, in the fields, when it come crop time, they'd strike. So then what they do at Dixon, they take the fire, you know, if they had a meeting in town, they take the fire department and hose them down, which was uncalled for.
What union was it? Do you remember what union it was?
Well, it was, I don't think, because we never knew too much about farmers being union. But when I went back, and that is one of the first trips I used to go back for the association, they were talking this farmers union back there that was being Western Farmers Union. being just in its infant stage back there in 1964 and 65. And then that drifted out west, but it didn't work here at all.
But there were attempted strikes
You know.
in the 1960s or earlier?
Well, I imagine about that time when this started to, when we got water in here, you know, then that changed the farming practices here. And that's about the time they used to, these Mexicans come in from Mexico on piecework, you know, they wanted to work on piecework. Heck, if labor was $4 an hour, some of those boys used to pick, you know, an abundance of tomatoes by hand, you know, and they made a lot of money.
So most of the people who were involved in the union activities, were they Mexicans or were they from different parts of California?
At first, we used to have Mexicans and different, you know, people. Japanese, Chinese, Hindus. But I understand now the problems over here at San Quentin, when they have my son's a guard over there. It's generally the Mexicans amongst themselves, the ones from north of Mexico, southern Mexico, or the Mexicans and the blacks.
Where were those Chinese people from? Why were they here in Dixon, do you think?
Well, they lived there because it was a rooming place. Now, in the olden history of Dixon, there were a lot of Chinese, especially in the orchards and like that. Vacaville was noted for that. There used to be a Chinatown. There was none of the Chinese. And then they'd use them out here in the railroads. They'd build them out here in the fields.
So there was a pretty strong presence of Chinese people in this area.
I remember, see the way, we'll talk about drug and like that. They used to have these long pipes, you know, sitting out in the sun there in the front porch, and have these pipes and smoking away, you know, whatever they used.
And did they have businesses eventually?
Well, not so much business. They'd work out more than their own business. They have markets with Chinese in them, like Sacramento. There were a lot of them. Because there was one, I remember, he used to come down here and buy a lot of veal or pigs for month, fat pigs for meat. He had his own butcher shop in town.
And the type of meat that were used, you were saying that there used to be a fair amount of slaughterhouses here. What was the meat that was produced? Was it lamb mostly?
Lamb was popular. This area here at Dixon was a lot of sheep when we moved here. Sometimes we'd be going to school and they'd herd them. See, they had fences and they'd drive them, they wouldn't truck them. Thousands, 2,000s in a flock. And sometimes there was one coming, one going. Then what they did, they'd use somebody's corrals, you know. We all had corrals to keep the cows. So they'd drive one bunch in that area there and then go on with them and then go on with the others. You could drive through with the car. And these herders would have a stick and a dog generally with them. And they'd walk